Hi, I'm Tom, and for this video I'm going to be talking about the marketing and distribution for the film Batman 1989 and the film Batman vs Superman, which was made in 2016. More specifically, I'm going to be comparing and contrasting the marketing and distribution strategies. Firstly, I'm going to talk about Batman. Batman 1989 was directed by Tim Burton and starred both Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. The film was released for a summer blockbuster in both the UK and USA. However, in Japan they aimed for a Christmas 1989 release. It was the first dark film that introduced Batman and was distributed by Warner Brothers Studios. With regards to distribution, Batman 1989 was considered a success. Box Mojo estimates that 60 million tickets in the US were sold, and it grossed around $250 million off of a $35 million budget. Its main box office competitor at the time was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. In total, all over the world, at the end of its cinematic run, it made roughly $411 million. As well as a spectacular summer of film, 1989 was an important year for world events. Historical events like the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Tiananmen Square Democratic Rally, the death of Japanese World War II Emperor Hirohito made 1989 a year to remember for social events.
My name is Reg Thompson. At the time of the release of the original Batman, I was marketing director at Warner Brothers UK. The sort of prevalence of comic characters as they are now wasn't the case then. It was very much about, attracting people's attention through visual media like posters, trailers, sides of buses, what they call ad shells, which are posters in bus stations, bus stops. PR, there were big chat shows at the time, Michael Parkinson. There was a lot of pressure on the studio, the film had to be a success. And it was the first, and I wasn't involved in those kind of strategic decisions, but I very much imagined that Warner Brothers hoped that there would be a franchise, which of course there proved to be. We wanted to get the Batmobile over to London, drive it down Pall Mall, but we didn't have the money to do it, and we couldn't afford the shipping costs. But that would have been fun.
That would have been excellent.
If we could have got the Batmobile over. Anything like that to create extra publicity, extra awareness of Batman. I mean, he's the villain, he's the antagonist, so without the Joker, there's no movie, but obviously being Jack Nicholson and being such a colourful, larger-than-life character, fantastic person to pin, the marketing on. I mean, Batman is always quite an elusive, mysterious character. We can't see his face, for example. So really the villain is the more exciting component of the two main characters. And of course Jack, the way he looked, the way Tim Burton, had his makeup done, the way he delivered his lines, all of those things made it immediately an iconic role.
Now I have briefly overviewed Batman 1989, I'm now going to talk to you about Batman vs Superman. Batman vs Superman was the second instalment in the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, which is part of Warner Brothers. It starred Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. It was released worldwide in March 2016. The film was used to start off its own cinematic universe, rivaling Marvel's. That being the case, a heavy marketing campaign was launched. When we talk about marketing specifically, Batman vs Superman had one of the biggest marketing campaigns at the time. They used merchandising and product placement, social media and cinematic advertising. The first thing I would like to discuss is cinematic advertising. The main forms of cinematic advertising were posters and trailers. DC made a point of promoting the fact that you could see this movie in IMAX 3D. As well as printed promotions, TV spots were also released, and that totaled to about 20 minutes of footage. This gave the audience a lot of footage to hype up the fan base. This differs from Batman 1989, as roughly 7 minutes of film footage was released for the fans. Somewhere around here, there will be some posters that will show you how Batman vs Superman was marketed. The next thing I would like to discuss is the use of merchandising. As this film was a superhero origin story, lots of merchandise was released. This ranged from action figures to clothing. This was used to generate more revenue. Alongside merchandise, DC used sponsorships to promote the film. Software giant MSI released some computer tech which was Batman vs Superman infused. The final merchandising figure is yet to be published due to merchandise still being sold in official stores 3 years later at the full price. The final figure for Batman 1989 came to around $750 million in merchandise. Comic book historian Kevin Smith recalls this period with fond memories. He says, "That summer was huge. You couldn't turn around without seeing the bat signal somewhere. People were cutting it into their fucking heads. It was just a summer of Batman, and if you're a comic fan, it was pretty hot." Distribution-wise, Batman vs Superman performed very well at the box office. Domestically, it made $330 million, 37.8% of takings was in the USA. Worldwide, it earned $87.3 million, which was 62.2% of the gross. This was off of a $250 million budget. At its heaviest point, it was released in 4,526 theatres at any one time. The last official day of cinema viewing was on the June 16, 2016, 84 days, or just under 3 months from initial release. Throughout this time, Batman vs Superman was competing against Captain America: Civil War. With regards to the box office figures, Batman vs Superman made a lot more money than Batman 1989, but this was due to the mass use of social media and marketing machine. After the cinema release had concluded, Batman vs Superman started the home distribution cycle. It kicked off in August 2016 with the DVD and Blu-ray Ultimate Edition, which also included the previous film Superman Man of Steel, as well as Batman vs Superman. Christmas Day of 2016 saw Sky Movies put the film on their streaming services as their Christmas Day blockbuster. In late 2018, Netflix added the film to their streaming service. As of yet, there has been no TV network premiere. However, Batman 1989's home video cycle began in December of 1989 with a home video release, something that TV Tropes recalls. Batman revolutionised the home video industry. It was the first financially successful film to be released for the home market in the same year as its theatrical release, and for only $19.99 it became a stocking stuffer in many homes that Christmas and went on to earn $150 million on home video alone. Now even blockbuster hits are released in home video as soon as their theatrical runs are over, sometimes even before they end. On top of this, 2005 saw the normal release of Batman 1989 on DVD. 2009, 2014 and 2019 also saw 20th, 25th and 30th anniversary celebration editions. On top of this, Now TV added all the original 4 Batman movies onto their platform in conjunction with its 30th anniversary in 2019. When the film was distributed, the Western world was going through a divisive period of history. The USA were in the height of their election campaign, where both candidates stood for the polar opposites of each other, causing the nation of USA to be divided in turn. As well as this, the UK was in the midst of campaigning as to whether we should remain or leave the European Union, which also caused much divide within the country. This could have impacted the box office in a couple of ways. Firstly, the first reason it could impact the box office is because people would go to see the film to escape the mundanity and tension that these events were creating and just use these as an escape. The second reason that this may have impacted the box office takings would have been to do with how these events would be mirrored within real life events. So Batman and Superman disliking each other could be emulated in both the US election and the European Union Brexit elections in 2016. DC released posters for each character with their symbols to introduce us to the cast and their roles within the film. In East Asia, they linked up with famous people within the region and placed them in their poster as a marketing campaign for that territory. The Asian poster featured what is known as an audience ambassador for Asia. This man was called Lai Yifeng. He's a famous Chinese pop star, and his influence within East Asia allowed DC to reach out to an Asian market. Ben Affleck was an unpopular choice for Batman, therefore his face was highly covered up. This differs from the 1989 installment as Batman, as both Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson are highly prominent throughout the campaign and used as a marketing campaign in their own right. The East Asian poster was exactly the same as the UK and US markets and just translated into their respective languages. Another big element of the marketing campaign was the use of social media. Facebook and Twitter were heavily used in the lead up to the film's release. Hashtags and countdowns to the release were heavily featured to keep the audience reminded of the film's existence. Batman 1989 did not have the luxury of social media, so the driving force of promoting this film was to appear on talk shows. Famously, Michael Keaton appeared on a David Letterman show in 1989 and introduced Batman to a new audience. In conclusion to this video, both Batman 1989 and Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice performed well at the box office. Their successes, however, are attributed to different things. Batman 1989's use of talk shows to engage with the American demographic through the David Letterman show worked wonders for them. It allowed them to reach millions of potential viewers, some of which will have been comic fans, and allowed them to be made aware of this. However, Batman vs Superman made use of the growing internet and social media platforms really well. As previously mentioned, the main two sites were both Facebook and Twitter, and these were littered with hashtags, internet stickers and photo filters, making it near on impossible to escape its marketing campaign. The elements used within both campaigns were trailers and merchandising, proving that no matter what era a film is released, audiences want to see parts of a film before viewing and want material items from the film themselves. One thing that cannot be denied is that both films performed well and have both generated mass fans.